Welcome to Locked On Golden Knights. Recently traded Max Pacioretty suffers an Achilles injury in Carolina, out for up to 6 months.
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hi again, everyone. Tony Cardasco along with Chris Golick. Welcome to our show for this Wednesday edition. I am found at Tony Dasco on Twitter. Very, very active there. Of course, he is at DDChrisG. And you could find us on Twitter at Locked On VGK. Extremely active there. And on YouTube now at Locked On VGK. And Chris, you and I had a lot of discussions about Max Pacioretty, the trade to Carolina. He was very optimistic. He was very excited to be a part of this Carolina Hurricane team. And now a lot of those hopes are dashed. Perhaps a torn Achilles injury. Late last night, we found out about it via social media. And the recently traded Max Pacioretty will have surgery in Raleigh, North Carolina today, 33 years old. This is a big blow. He was so excited to play for the Canes, and Carolina was also counting on Max Pacioretty.
It's unfortunate. And, one thing that does bother me just a kind of bit on the social media world right now is, everyone's throwing it's like the Cubs right now. Everyone's got the big W flag hanging because Vegas won this trade all of a sudden because Pacioretty got injured. I don't like that, folks. If you want to win the trade, a different way, if Pacioretty struggles a bit and you want to say, I told you so. Okay. But I get both sides of it. One of the concerns about Pacioretty has been his man games lost. Last year was some bad luck, but he only played a small handful of games. And this is not his first time he's had injuries that have kept him out for an extended period of time. It's unfortunate. And we definitely wish him well. We have no ill will against Pacioretty or anything like that here in Vegas. He was an amazing contributor here on and off the ice, as we've talked about many, many times, and hopefully he gets better. And I don't think Carolina visits Vegas until sometime in March. So I think we'll hopefully still get to see a healthy, not hobbled Max Pacioretty, assuming that 6-month timeline is accurate. 6 months. I don't know. I remember back an ACL was at least 9 months to a year, no questions asked. So I guess, medical science has taken a few steps forward, but hopefully he gets better fast and hopefully he can help contribute to the Carolina Hurricanes.
Yeah, one article that I read said that the Hurricanes' Justin Williams suffered the same injury September 2008. He was able to return to the Canes lineup in early December. So it's just a matter of how everything reacts, if he can rehab it, stay on schedule, what have you. And again, of course, modern medicine definitely is something that, can be helpful to him, to his cause. And they needed him in a big way because they lost the forwards, and Vincent Trocheck went to the Rangers, right? And Nino Niedermeyer. So they definitely are missing him in that lineup. We'll have to see how they can fill in some gaps until his return. And now one of the things that I said yesterday, of course, we like to stir it up sometimes here. Well, what if this was a pre-existing condition? Is there any way to prove that? And we didn't hear anything. Okay, we saw some photos, right, of Pacioretty skating on the ice, working out in Carolina. We don't know when those were taken, what have you. But what if, let's just hypothetically ask, what if this was a pre-existing condition? We didn't hear anything about him, having a physical there. What if this was a pre-existing condition and he has to be sent back to Vegas?
What if the Carolina Hurricanes were on his no trade clause and all of a sudden that comes to fruition right now? Haven't seen that happen.
No,
that would be pretty crazy. I don't think so, Tony. I don't think that's in play here, but nothing should ever surprise us.
We're thinking about that, right?
Oh, that's the first thing I thought of.
Think about it. Yeah,
that's the first thing I thought of. And then I do remember is either late last week or early this week, the Hurricanes did tweet a photo of Pacioretty out there somewhere in one of their practice facilities out there in his Hurricanes gear and everything. So, I don't think that's going to happen, but nothing surprises us. Nothing should surprise us. And I mean, gosh, Max Pacioretty wearing. Let's put this out there on with our sponsor, BetMGM. Over under number of games Max Pacioretty plays as a Vegas Golden Knight at half. We'll set the over at maybe plus 3,000, and the under at minus 12,500 with a $100 bet max.
Okay. Now they said, okay, so last year it was well documented. In fact, a couple of fans had seen at the new Summit Golf Club out there that Pacioretty had his left foot in a cast. So we know that he had a foot injury. I got some photos sent to me before it was even released to the public. Of course, we've got insiders. But I also found out through lengthy research last night, there was a hand injury as well for Pacioretty.
You're asking me or telling me?
Well, partly both.
I'm not the scoop
I didn't
guy.
know
You're
about that.
the one
Did you know
that's
about
got
the hand? I didn't know about the hand injury.
You're the one that has you got the photographers on the roof at Red Rock as they're going in and out of City National, Tony. That's not my world, unfortunately, but the foot injury, that is interesting. When was that dated? Like, was that like
I don't remember when that was, but that had to be the second injury, right? Obviously after that, because the first one was in the second game of the season.
You're going back. Okay, so you're going back during the season then here.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, that's, again, I'll just stick to my perspective of nothing will surprise me. Nothing will, and not just Vegas, but NHL and sports in general. Crazy things happen. Crazy scenarios happen. And, after the Dodonov situation, I won't ever be surprised by a VGK move, a VGK blunder, which is what that was, I think, famously. And it's just how it goes. And that's one of the reasons that, it keeps you and I extremely passively employed.
39 games for Vegas last season, Chris. 19 goals, 18 assists. Great production for just a few games that he had played. And yeah, I'm going to pull up this photo right here. This was the foot injury. Can you see that at home?
When was that from?
This was the first injury back in October.
I got you. Yeah, the one of the bone injuries, most likely.
Yeah, that was the foot injury, and you can see his foot is in a cast.
I thought that was Ryan Reeves who showed me at first there from the softball game.
and then Pacioretty, last season, he called it a weird year. Well, this is not going to be any better if this continues. Seemed like everything went wrong. He said it was a one-off on injuries and some bad luck. But let's talk about his age is 33. So how's he going to recover? He's getting in those twilight years for an NHL player. I'm concerned about the comeback now.
I mean, I like your medical science perspective and the advances in modern medicine and everything. And I think he will be put in a spot to succeed as best as his body will allow. Like you said, he's up there in the 30s. He's got 850 regular season NHL games played, plus a lot of mileage on the playoffs. So he's probably pushing. He'll probably be celebrating 1,000 games played pretty soon. Actually, I'll dig through that a little bit later. I'm guessing that might happen this season or next season, depending on how things go with his body and how far the Carolina Hurricanes go. One thing I guess I just do want to highlight: people have mentioned like Pacioretty and his durability and health and such. Let's start from the 2013 season all the way to, let's go all the way to the 2020 shortened season. He never had less than 64 games played in a season. And in the shortened season, the 56 game season, he played 48 of them. And then going back 11-12, he also played 79 games then. 12-13, I think that's probably when Chara tried to decapitate him in that one game, which is why he only had 44 games played. I could be wrong if that was a playoff game or not, but point being, a lot of VGK fans in the Twitterverse and the Facebook verse and everything, if that's even a word. If not, I'll coin it. But are questioning Pacioretty and his durability. Looking at his regular season games played, the dude's playing at least 64 games for the last decade. At least the 79 to 83% of the games. So he is relatively healthy. I don't know about his playoff games missed. I guess maybe that's what a concern could be. But yeah, this is certainly a blow to an aging veteran who is going to be a big part of what was supposed to be a Carolina, largely successful playoff and possibly Stanley Cup run. Pacioretty, I guess, is the missing piece in a lot of people's eyes. So we'll see if he can get back to full health, at least get back to playing sometime in February and March, and he can have 15 to 18 or 20 games, whatever it's going to be, as a training camp, and get back to full speed come playoffs should the Carolina Hurricanes qualify.
So you had a call out last night on Twitter. Someone by the name of @frauds_run_VGK.
This isn't good.
Well, don't you recall? You said, let's talk about this and shout
out.
Yeah.
I don't know if I saw this one though. I was looking late last night, but fill me in.
Well, you're the one that tweeted it out.
I know.
Okay, so it said GMKM, Kelly McCrimmon, traded away Halla at his highest value and got Nic Roy.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, GMKM traded away Colin Miller for 2 seconds. He traded away Fleury before a downfall of the season. Well, it wasn't on Fleury. Or is he saying, or the downfall for VGK? In any event, and then GMKM traded away Pacioretty before a lengthy injury recovery time. Kelly McCrimmon is not a criminal, he said. Which way are we going with this tweet?
So, and I mean, let's go a step back here. This might have been more of a McPhee thing. We also moved Nikita Gusev for a 3rd and a 2nd round pick to the New Jersey Devils. And Gusev, last I checked, he was out of the league, I believe. So, I was going to probably jump on this a little more in the second segment, but, VGK fans, there's all this, hate, call it what it is. There's all this animosity. There's all these things towards Kelly McCrimmon, but that list of things you just read there, Tony, I mean, that's pretty, that's some pretty good GM work there. I'm not going to lie about that. That's some pretty good GM work. If you're looking at those trades, looking at us being on the right side of them. I mean, Colin Miller for 2 seconds. Okay, Colin Miller is a fine defenseman, but I'll take 2 seconds all day. Fleury, yes, it was a downfall of a season, but that was a lot on Chicago. But how did Fleury do in the playoffs for Minnesota? Not very good. Not very good. Unfortunately, we're not taking shots at Marc-Andre Fleury here, folks. We're simply talking about stats. Eric Halla and Nic Roy, I am going to hit on that in the second segment a little bit. The salaries of those two players kind of confuse me. And then Pacioretty before, the injury, and then the Gusev deal. So, I mean, it's almost like this GM who has been largely in part of creating our season 1 expansion roster, which was the best expansion team in the history of sports, I believe. And then the second season almost have a nice playoff run. Unfortunately, bad coaching does it. It does us in. Seasons 3 and 4 were within 3 games of a Stanley Cup. And season 5 is the best roster on paper. Unfortunately, injuries dictated a different outcome. And you look at all these trades here, it's almost like we have a GM that might know what he's doing, folks.
Accidentally. Coming up next.
All those aren't an accident, Tony. Come on. All that's not an accident.
And we wish, of course, Max Pacioretty the best in his recovery.
Definitely, no doubt.
Coming up next, we'll talk about unfinished business. Stay with us right here on Locked On Golden Knights. Our next partner has a product that I literally use every day. I started to take Athletic Greens because I didn't have the time. I wanted better gut health, more energy, much, much more. And they actually came to my rescue, if you will. Now it's been a couple of months, 3 months now, I think, and I absolutely love it. It doesn't taste at all like it's super healthy. It has kind of a mild tropical taste that I actually look forward to each morning. So what is this stuff? With one delicious scoop of Athletic Greens, you are absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day off on the right foot. All the things. That's right. And I personally consume it again. I just really like the benefits. Helps with the digestion. I actually sleep better. and I send it to family and to friends, and they really liked it a lot. And it's lifestyle friendly, whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan. I don't know what paleo is. Of course, I can't pronounce it. So how would I know? I do know what it is. But of course, it's dairy free, it's gluten free, contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals or artificial anything. You have to try it out for yourself, and it costs less than $3 a day. And that $3 invest in your health, and it's cheaper than your cold brew habit. There's a lot of testimonials about it. And in 2020, AG donated over $1.2 million in meals to kids in 2020. So they also help out the community. Make it easy. Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. And all you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL Network. Again, it's athleticgreens.com/NHL Network to take ownership over your health and to pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick here from Las Vegas. Thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. And our podcast is free and available wherever you find your podcast. And now, as well, Chris, on YouTube, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays here in the off season. Those little breaks in between, kind of helpful. We recharge the batteries. We've got a new feature segment coming up on Friday. WTF. What the Friday? What the Friday?
Yes, what the Friday. It's going to be fun. We're so much fun. We don't have our topics lined up yet, but no, I can't wait. We were talking about this last week, and just little goofball segments and stuff like that. Not that we're not goofballs the rest of the time, but we'll kick it up a notch or two on Fridays for probably that third segment or that first segment. I don't know, Tony. We'll figure that out, but it'll be fun.
Yeah, and in that segment, we're just going to again, we like and appreciate our followers, our listeners, our viewers, and it's something for you to chime in to give us some of your what the moments with the VGK. So we'll get into that.
It's only a half-hour show, Tony.
Yeah, there's a lot of what in the world were they thinking about sort of moments. So Nic Roy, Keegan Colasar meeting the press yesterday for the first time since they have their nice new contracts. In this segment, let's first discuss Nic Roy, who this week signed that 5-year extension with $3 million AAV. Roy comes off of a career season, career best in games with 78, 15 goals, career high, 24 assists, and he also had 39 points total this past season. And I cannot help, and you kind of teased it a little bit, I couldn't help but to compare his contract to that of Erik Haula, because that's the player.
It's funny. I have that in front of me right now. It's funny
Figured you would.
I did the exact same thing.
So the main reason why we're comparing it is because this was the trade that happened between those two players. And so, yeah, dive in if you'd like to. I've got the numbers too, so let's have at it.
So I guess the first thing, folks, if you follow us on our Twitter handle, Locked On VGK, I put out there that we re-signed Nic Roy for $3 million AVV, and I felt that was just a little bit high.
I think it's AAV.
Whatever. $3 million a year. $3 million a year. But I just thought it was a bit high. That was just my knee-jerk reaction. No, nothing to back it up. I was sitting at Roll and Smoke Barbecue enjoying a 3-meat plate, some brisket and some sausage, and diving in some cornbread. I said, oh, cool. Okay, this feels a bit high. And folks, everyone seems to think Nic Roy is the second coming of Marc-Andre Fleury. You all love Nic Roy. I just learned a lot how much the VGK fan base loves Nic Roy. And I like Nic Roy. Don't get me wrong. This is nothing negative to Nic Roy. In our show, I think last week, how do we replace our 50-ish goals that we're going to be missing without Patches and Daddy? Nic Roy, hopefully getting to that 20-ish goal range is needed, and I think he can do it. My concern with this contract, folks, is we are paying Nic Roy for the player we need him to be, not the player that he is. The player that he is right now was a 6-goal scorer 2 seasons ago, and then he has a career year the following year. We've seen this happen before, folks. William Karlsson. Now, 6 goals to 43 goals. Yes, there's a bigger gap. I certainly get that, but there is some major recency bias happening right now. And famously, whenever VGK does make these 11th hour deals or so to avoid arbitration, they seem to backfire a little bit, starting with William Karlsson. Nate Schmidt did not live up to his financial expectations. We love Nate Schmidt, but he did not live up to his financial expectations. Nic Roy, we need him to be more than what he has been. Otherwise, he may not live up to these financial expectations. I do like the Kolesar deal, actually, and that was, I think, one that was in our favor, but even a lot of VGK fans think we overpaid for him, too. So, we can go into the Erik Haula comparable, too. Erik Haula was 2.75, I believe, Tony, at his time with VGK, and now Nic Roy is $3 million.
I think he's down to 2.5 or something in the latest contract for Haula.
Yeah, it might have dropped a little bit. Okay, either way, we're in the same ballpark. And looking at Erik Haula's outputs, 2017-18, when everyone had that unsustainable career year, folks, let's keep that in mind. 55 points, 29 and 26. That's a heck of a season right there, folks. VGK, he's injured 18-19, 19-20, moved to Carolina, 41 games, but he goes 12 and 10. 19-20, he only plays a few games with Florida, doesn't get much going there. 2021 with Nashville, 51 games, he gets 21 points. I mean, okay, that's pretty solid. And then Boston, he really puts it together again in Boston. It looks like 78 games, he goes 44 points.
And a plus 19 he was.
I love the plus 19. My is 16 with the Golden Knights, though. Yikes. That whole line, too, was a mess defensively. James Neal, David Perron, Erik Haula, but otherwise good outputs. But so do we value a healthy Nic Roy over a healthy Erik Haula? I think the answer is no, at least right now. Maybe Nic Roy obviously is going to continue this upward trajectory. And VGK fans, again, this is the second coming of Marc-Andre Fleury, folks. You all love him more than Fleury, I think. I think anyone that's upset is just going to take their old Fleury jersey, cross it off, put Nic Roy on there or something like that. That's the love that y'all seem to have here. And I'm also confused that, going back to all of our concerns about Kelly McCrimmon being a McCriminal, not a criminal, whatever. Either way, all this hate towards Kelly McCrimmon in the past, and all of a sudden y'all came to bat pretty quick here. So I'm confused, VGK Nation. I'm honestly confused about your perspective about Kelly McCrimmon because, we argued, Tony, on this show not too long ago that I thought he was doing a good job. You thought we were somewhat in a line for the past, and you have more concern down the road, which is very fair. I will concede that all day, but simply going on the for now and coming into season 6, I'm comfortable with things. Now we look at this, at that Twitter handle from VGK front office doesn't know what they're doing or whatever that thing was, and all the trades that got made. And y'all love the Nic Roy deal here. So folks, you can't have it both ways. We're either going to throw darts at Kelly McCrimmon, or we're going to, want to have him take pictures with our babies outside of City National every day. One or the other. Pick a side. Tony.
VGK Nation is drunk. They just don't know which way to go. A lot of they go where some of these wannabe media people go because they're just going to go with the flow. And I'll get into more about the media. They forgot to ask a key question yesterday to Keegan Kolesar. I'm going to do that in segment 3.
I'm curious about that. I don't even know what segment 3 is. I'm curious.
We're going to talk about Kolesar and his comments. Let's talk about Nic Roy's role. So maybe he's comfortable, bouncing around. And he did say that he already had a conversation with the new coach, said he's ready for anything from winger to a defensive role on the third line or an offensive role on the second line. Ooh. He said it could be anything for Bruce Cassidy. That's pretty interesting. The second line. Where would you pair him with on line 2? Who would you pair him with on line 2 for offense?
I put him on line 1, Tony. I told you that. for some reason, everyone, I was listening to the NHL Network yesterday, everyone has Eichel and Stone slotted together on that top line. And I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but if you're going to tell me you're going to go Eichel, Stone, and Nic Roy, I do like that. I do like what Nic Roy can possibly bring and the balance that creates. I don't like loading up, line one, Marchessault, Stone, Eichel, or even Stevie on line one. I don't like putting that much of our firepower on one line. I would love to see a top nine that can come at you in waves, and then a bottom, our line four, that's going to make you earn your ice and that's going to punish you out there. That really reminds me of the season one and even season two VGK teams to a degree, obviously, with Carrier and Reeves, and then insert random center here, of course, between them, Bellemare, Nosek, etc. That is really what I want to see. I don't want to, like last year, we seemed to have a somewhat of a healthy top six, kind of. And then our bottom line kind of was intact, not the Colasar, Carrier, Roy, but it seemed like any combination of AHL, Henderson, Horsies were rounding out line four. But line three was the mystery line all year, it seemed like. You never knew what line three was going to look like. And I think that was our biggest area of opportunity due to the bad injury luck that VGK experienced. So I really want to see a line three that has a William Karlsson out there, that has, maybe a Brennan Briswan out there, or Mannion. I keep saying his name wrong. Mannion Field is right over there. That's the elementary school. It's too hot for the kids to be in school. We can do that again. I saw that we had some action on that tweet yesterday. Tony, what the Friday was that about?
It is too hot. It's too stinking hot. Give these kids till after Labor Day before they can go back to the classroom. Okay. I don't even have children, but I'm all for their rights. Okay. I'm going to stick up for the kids. Okay. So he said, let's get back to where we were. So Waz said he was more confident offensively last season. Now, explain to the listeners, I might be putting you on the spot here. He said he's been working a lot on his cutbacks, on his speed and agility. What do you think he did wrong, or what does he have to improve on his cutbacks?
I mean, I don't know. He seems to be a very confident skater. He seems to have very, very good hands around the net. He seems very comfortable. I'm assuming when he refers to a cutback, it's almost kind of like what you see a defenseman doing, where they'll come in, they'll make a couple moves, they'll stop, and it's like a crossover where you stop and accelerate quickly. And maybe he just feels a little less confident about that. And if that's what he feels like he needs to work on in the offseason, I think he's a pretty darn good skater going into. But it's a good comment. How much truth is there behind that versus maybe one of the VGK media preppers kind of hitting him as he goes out to the podium with a little something to say to the media. I don't know how that works. I could assume there's some coaching, especially maybe for the younger players. No one's going to tell Mark Stone what to say out there, but I could see someone kind of talking to a Nic Roy, maybe loading him up a little bit or something like that before he meets the media. But I think Nic Roy is a very solid skater. And back to the comment about the second line, the third line, Nic Roy's greatest asset is he is versatile. He can play center, he can play wing, and I can make a case for all four lines for him. And honestly, if Nic Roy is our line four center for 60 games next season, we got a good top nine, folks. We have a real good top nine if Nic Roy is our line four center. If he is our line four or line one wing most of the year, I would definitely say he has taken a major step forward in his outputs. Hopefully he's not there just for injury purposes, but if he's playing alongside of Eichel, and whether it's Marchessault or Stone or whoever, Riley Smith up there, I don't know how that's going to shake out. But if Nic Roy has a prominent line one role and there's not 500 man games lost for VGK, Nic Roy might become that 22, 23 goal scorer, and maybe, 18, 22. I mean, he could flirt with a 50-point season. And then all of a sudden you can yell at me, folks, about that $3 million contract not being enough.
So does VGK now have enough money left to sign? There's two players that they really want to sign currently, Nick Hague and Jake Leschyshyn, right? Leschyshyn's still not signed.
Yeah, that's a fair question, Tony. And I'm not the cap expert here. The simplest understanding I had, according to when we were with Ben Fisher last Friday, was Shea Weber's contract is not officially LTIR until like later in the season or something like that. So it show like right now it probably shows VGK like $4 million in the red. I haven't checked Cap Friendly, but if you subtract his $7.9 million cap hit or whatever that is, then just maybe, we still have $2 or $3 million left. I've seen a lot of different reports about this from local, like right now we're showing negative 5.7. I don't know if you can. Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever. We're showing
That's as
negative
good as my
5.7
Pacioretty
right
pick.
now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We're showing negative 5.7 right now. But if you subtract 7.9, maybe we still have approximately $2 million left. And if Lecision gets a two-way contract, I think we're still safe there then. Is Nick Hague a $2 million defenseman? I think that's fair, but that's just a very quick knee-jerk reaction that I might get yelled at again for, folks. But I think we'll be safe. I think we'll be safe unless we do make a trade to even free up more space or do something. Now, who knows?
Coming up next, we'll talk about Keegan Colasar as he addressed the media yesterday. We'll get into that after this right here on Locked On Golden Knights. BetOnline.net, the fastest, the easiest way to check in on all of your betting needs. Find all your favorite sports. Find all of your favorite events at the #1 online source for odds, lines, and games. Find reviews for each and every league, including Major League Baseball, the NFL, the NBA, of course, the National Hockey League, combat sports, esports, and even golf now. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports wagering information, from live in-game betting, scores, and podcasts. They have it all covered for you. Head to BetOnline today. Use your mobile device to learn more about all of the trends in action, everything that's happening today. BetOnline, where the game starts. Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco, Chris Golick here in Las Vegas. And again, don't forget to subscribe to our new YouTube channel at Locked On VGK. And you get to see our mugs here sometimes early in the morning. And Keegan Colasar, again, that theme, unfinished business for the VGK. That's going to be the theme of this upcoming season. They've got that chip on their shoulder. Let me tell you, Keegan Colasar said that his agent had handled his new contract. He was confident that they would get things done. He said he's glad to be back. He wants to see more personal growth and more team growth this upcoming season. Unfinished business.
I don't like that nonsense.
Do they believe? Are they believing in this, or it sounds a
unfinished?
Little contrived?
It's so
it just
corny.
Sounds a little contrived. Yeah, too.
It's as corny and cheesy as the gold helmets, which means I kind of like it then because I do like the gold helmets. But
no,
I like the gold
that's
helmets.
An entire segment.
I like the gold helmets. They look good.
You're
they
a
look
big
better
Star Wars
when you're at T-Mobile
fan. I know.
I've never watched it. I've watched the first Star Wars movie and that's it, Tony. I've never seen another Star Wars movie in my life. But I want to see the Golden Knights and the Kings face off in the gold domes and the chrome domes. That would be absolutely awesome, by the way. But let's stick to the topic on hand for a second. We only got a few minutes to go. But Colasar, unfinished business. Like, come on, folks, just stop it. Last season, if you get a one and done in the playoffs or get swept out in the first round or something like that, you want to do the unfinished business stuff, fine, whatever. But 500 man games lost, bad luck, injuries, unfinished business. That's Chris, nonsense.
Where is your everybody versus the Golden Knights or the Golden Knights versus everybody t-shirt? Should be hanging there in your shrine.
That's so 2 months ago, Tony. That's so 2 months ago.
That's cheesy too.
I can see I can just see the shirts outside of T-Mobile Arena that y'all are going to be can't wait to pay $40 a pop for out there, including present company, because my kids plural are going to ask me for all those shirts and stuff. And oh my goodness, it's going to be an expensive year. But fine, whatever. Marketing wants to put unfinished business out there. They want to put VGK versus everybody out there. Fine, whatever. Go ahead. It's fun. I'm looking more forward to seeing it in person versus it getting a motivating point. You're not going to see signs in the VGK locker room about unfinished business. You're not going to see that type of bulletin board material. The players aren't listening to that nonsense. Colasar might be saying that for fine, whatever, but I feel confident that's not what everyone has on their mind. They just want to get out there, play hockey, a new system, a new situation, new personnel, new season, fresh slate, all of that stuff. I like fresh slate better than unfinished business, but it doesn't sell on a t-shirt as well.
So VGK for the first time in a few years now has had a longer summer. It's been a long summer where they could mend,
Golf.
recover, golf, play softball, get injured playing not VGK players. In any
Right.
event, okay, so Colasar is talking yesterday, Chris, about a new surgery that not many hockey players have had. And not one of the media members in attendance asked, you have to ask, what was the injury or what was the surgery? I mean,
Yeah.
that's a major missing part right there. It's like, so I had the surgery. Not very many NHL players have had this, and I'm recovering just fine. Maybe it was on his shooting arm because he made that basket at the WNBA game. We're always going to go back to that.
Or maybe, Tony, they were just coached not to ask a question about it. The media call it what it is. I don't know how much politics go into
A
the
lot,
VGK media and stuff like that.
a ton
Of
of
course.
politics goes into it, but that's a question that needs to be asked.
Of course it
As a
does.
journalist,
Yeah.
you have to ask it. He could say upper body, lower body. I don't want to disclose. It's undisclosed something, but you have to ask that question.
I'm with you, Tony.
And what is the surgery that no one else
Yeah.
has had?
I enjoy watching post-game pressers. I kind of like the players. There's some players that give a little more. That's really why I enjoyed watching Gerard Gallant speak in the past, because he was pretty honest and he gave a good assessment. Pete DeBoer was a little more of the politician after the game, trying to keep things positive. You didn't get a lot out of him, but you got more out of Gerard Gallant. And some players like a Jonathan Marchessault is always a good listen and stuff like that. Riley Smith is a little closer to the vest and doesn't give you as much. But where I'm going with all this is, yeah, I do want to know what the injury is. And I would like, I mean, if he just says upper body, lower body, or C, none of the above, I don't want to talk about. Okay, cool. I certainly get that. But I'd rather hear that than this unfinished business crap, because that's just annoying, in my opinion.
Yeah, no one asked what the injury was, which was just
What the
absurd.
Friday, Tony? What the Friday?
What the Friday. And then we also found out Bruce Cassidy's not here in Vegas. He's been spending the summer in Ottawa. So when does his vacation come to an end? And if I'm a new coach, personally, I'm not taking a shot at Cassidy, but I'd be right here in this Vegas market trying to figure things out, get acclimated here a lot.
I'll never be within.
Doesn't he have children? School started already.
Yeah, no, that's all fair, Tony. I mean, I'll never be within the breath of an NHL coach to ask a question like that or have any understanding of their mindset. But I have to think, as an NHL coach, there is a large obsession with your job and what you do, and you're constantly thinking and scheming and all sorts of stuff like that. So wherever he is, he's not on vacation. He may be in another place, but I feel pretty confident the only thing he's thinking about is Vegas Golden Knight hockey right now. And there's nothing going on in town right now. It's quiet. There's no practices. There's, maybe some random conditioning stuff happening, but I don't take any stock one way or the other if he's not in Vegas right now. Not yet.
One final note, in the juniors, Matthias Sapovalev had a goal for the Czechoslovakian team. And so we're going to try to keep up on the juniors and everything else that's going on.
If we have time.
And then we'll have, of course, we will have What the Friday coming up on Friday. Who is VGK's rival? Maybe we'll get into card collecting. I know, but a lot of news keeps breaking here, and you find out about it first right here on Locked On Golden Knights. For my man, Chris Golick, I'm Tony Cardasco. So long for now from Las Vegas. Thanks for making us your first listen right here on Locked On Golden Knights.